Hi, this is Calvin Cox. It's January 17, 2013, Thursday evening at 8:57 p.m. What I wanted to talk about this evening was something I noticed I ran across. Well, it was a situation that occurred that I never thought would ever happen, not under that situation at that specific time. And so I found it a bit unusual, and I found it completely by accident, but it worked. So it ended up solving my problem. I was camping in the woods, and I had a big cake, and it was most of the food I had was just that cake. So I had eaten some of it, and my bicycle with all my gear, it was in a plastic bag, you know, like a grocery bag, and it was a good size. I'd eaten some, so I put it back in the bag, and I was hanging it on the handlebar of my bike, and I was reading something for, I don't know, maybe an hour, maybe more, and then I got hungry for some more cake, and I was thinking about eating that cake, and I reached for it, and I opened it, and it's all covered with ants. I'm like, oh man, come on, I'm going to eat this cake covered with ants. And so in frustration, I didn't know what to do, but something happened. I needed to move my bike further to another section of woods, and it wasn't that far away, maybe 20 or 30 feet something. And so I was like, oh man, and I had to move, so I took it and I hung it back on the handlebar, and got the bike and moved it 20, 30, 40 feet, whatever it was. And then, so I was upset about the cake. It was all covered with ants. So I just left them there. And about an hour later, I'm like, man, I'm so hungry for some cake. I'm going to pick the ants off and fling them. And I'm going to go ahead and eat what cake I can, because I'm still kind of hungry, you know, I want to eat that. I went over and took it off and looked. There wasn't any ants. Not one. And these ants they were kind of medium, smaller ants. And I looked and I looked, and I pulled it out, and I looked. There wasn't any ants on it. I'm like, what's going on? Just back over there, there must have been 300 ants on this thing, maybe 400 ants. It was unbelievable. Almost. And then I got to thinking, what happened was, when I moved the bike, okay, this is the only thing I could come up with. I'm not a scientist, but I'm thinking that's what I have read about ants, is that when they travel somewhere, they leave a scent mark. And so that's how they know how to get back to their nest, is follow the scent marks back. Okay? So apparently what happened is, the ants that were up on the cake eating it and crawling all around and having a wonderful time, and there's always a new trail of ants that was coming up into the bag, and obviously some ants had decided to leave and started going back down the same way the other ants were coming up, but everything had been moved. So the ants who were leaving and going down discovered, uh-oh, there's no more trail down here. We can't find it. And then I guess what happened was they went back up and somehow communicated to the other ants that, hey, we can't find the trail. We all have to go and look for the trail so we can find our way back home. And I'm figuring that's what happened, is that they all got the message, we got to go look for our trail. That's more important to be able to get back home. Well, of course, the other ants, having been on the cake, probably had some food anyway, and they were going to carry it back. But anyway, so that's how all the ants got off the cake, and I got to eat all the cake. It was pretty amazing.